Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio, it's time for Family Business Radio. Showcasing outstanding family businesses and the advisors who assist them.
Good afternoon. You're listening to another episode of Family Business Radio. I am your host, Anthony Chen. Today we have three amazing guests coming onto the show to share with us their insights, and one in particular, a returning guest from when the show got started way back yonder of the COVID days. Lisa Sretenovic from Visionating. Welcome back, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be back with you guys to see how you've grown and tell you a little bit about how I've come from the COVID days to today.
Yeah, so for our new listeners that didn't get to listen to your Kickstart episode, share with the audience what got Visionating started. What is your background?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Lisa Sretenovic. I am a CPA, but I am known as the Velocity Detective. And that's because I really want to go beyond just the figures and focus on the families and the feelings and the future of my clients. So while, yes, we have to talk about money and dollars and that sort of thing, and even taxes sometimes, right? But it is really beyond that, because my real goal is to empower professional service providers to create that thriving business. The whole reason that they got into business in the first place is to have that lifestyle, that time that they can spend with their family. And that's the real key. It's how to create that thriving business so that you can focus on your family.
I like to call you the accountant with a personality and bringing a story to those numbers. So kind of share with, now, winding back the hands of time, 2020, everything is shutting down. How was Visionating, for lack of a better, being the vision of a direction of a business that you want to start from then and to now? What are some of the major changes?
So even from the very beginning, I knew that Visionating was going to be a completely virtual company. I was a partner in a CPA firm that back in 2012 had already started to go partially hybrid, where we worked from home a couple of days and we worked at the office a couple of days. So I was accustomed to that. And when I started thinking about how I wanted to bring Visionating into the world, I knew it was going to be 100% virtual, because I had in mind my 5-year plan was to be traveling 6 to 9 months out of the year, and to be able to provide my clients with the same level of customer service that they deserved. I wanted it to be so that it would be completely virtual. So I started out with this in mind. And I started that out in about November of 2019. And Visionating didn't actually get launched until July of 2020. Of course, COVID happened and everything shut down. And all of a sudden, what I had started to design around my personal life, that travel piece of things, ended up being very convenient for the rest of the world as COVID hit. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I'm already set up to accommodate this pandemic. Of course, during the pandemic, though, I didn't get to implement the travel piece. And I think, Anthony, that's where it comes in the changes that have occurred. So I knew how to be virtual from a static position, i.e. my home office or like a WeWork place or something to that effect. But I didn't know how to take that with me on an airplane and go to another location. One of the biggest changes post-pandemic has been, now how do I take my environment with me and still give that same level of customer service that I want to give? So a couple things I needed to do was identify the technology pieces. What kind of laptop, video cameras, did I need Zoom or Teams or what? All of that technology piece. And the first time that I went out, I was gone for 2 weeks, and it was not quite, but almost a disaster. I didn't have a really good internet connection in Europe, and I didn't have an alternative. And the microphone that I had ended up stopped working in the middle of the trip. And normally I'm used to ordering from Amazon here in the US. I couldn't just go do that. And then I didn't have the right plugs in Europe, and all kinds of things happened. So I learned a lot that very first trip, even about the technology that I thought I was going to be utilizing. I think the biggest thing that came out of that for me was that in my home office situation, I have 3 monitors. And my original time that I took was I only took 1. Definitely, I brought a second additional monitor in order to keep that productivity the next time that we were traveling. The other thing that I struggled with was how to balance the people that I was going to see, because some of this was for fun, right? It wasn't just to go to work in this alternative space, but it was to go and enjoy the company of my friends and family, and balancing out their expectations with my expectations of productivity. That, I think, was my biggest challenge on this last trip.
Following up with that, Lisa, the whole phrase of untethered entrepreneur, the concept of it, you brought up some of the challenges of technology, then also time zone, and kind of managing all those different perspectives as a untethered entrepreneur. Share with kind of the audience, what are some of the challenges and ways and solutions you went about solving them?
So aside from the technology piece, which did take me a while to make sure that I had all the right pieces in, and I'm not entirely positive that I have them all, but I've got a good number of them now. One of the challenges that I found was communicating with my clients, my referral partners, and even those people that I was going to be seeing while I was traveling. A lot of the times, yes, I did some business while I was there, but I was there to also enjoy my life. I have friends and family. So one of the things that I did was specifically block off time on my calendar so that prospects and referral partners and such couldn't accidentally book some time with me that was at midnight in my new time zone. So that was one thing that I did. Another thing that I did was made sure that I communicated with all of my clients that I was going to now have this limited time. A challenge that I discovered this last time that I went out was, how can I still be as productive as I want to in now this limited time frame? And I am still working on that piece. One of the things that comes to mind is the 80-20 rule, where you're most productive in 20% of your time. So there were some things that came up that I'm like, oh, I don't need to do this anymore in my normal business because I didn't do it for these 6 weeks that I was in Europe. Why should I do it on an ongoing basis, as it didn't provide me any additional productivity? So that was eye-opening for me. But I think the biggest challenge for me was communicating with those friends and family that when they saw me, because they don't see me on a day-to-day basis like my clients do or my prospects do, they saw, oh, she's on vacation. Let's go do stuff. Yeah. And it was really a challenge to communicate, yes, but today I am working between noon and 7. And so today I don't have that availability. I think that one of the cues for those people that was around me was whenever I brought my laptop out and set it up, that meant that Lisa was working. And that gave me that dedicated space, even if it was just a 3x3 area, that cued everybody around me that, no, I need to be focused on work right now, and then we can enjoy each other's company. So that was a bit of a challenge.
I think that's similar to challenge with people doing remote or working from home, where they got to have that physical barrier or an office per se, as opposed to working on their dining room or the kitchen. Or in your situation, just opening up that laptop and, oh, yeah, Lisa's working. Is that something that you had your friends and family just slowly caught on, or did you actually sit them down with a conversation? Hey, I'm working right now.
it was the slowly catch on thing. Spent 2 weeks at my in-laws' house, and everybody wanted to have conversations and play with Auntie Lisa and go out and have a coffee. But when I brought that laptop out, that was their cue somehow. And now, retrospectively, I think I would be more effective for myself and bring me more peace of mind. And if I set that expectation up front, on this day at this time, I'm going to be working. Like I set the expectation for my clients and my prospects and my partners, I set that in advance. If I had set that in advance, I think for those friends and family that I was going to be more on a social level with, I think that the tension wouldn't have been so big on my end.
So as we're learning, listening through you practicing what you preach and helping your clients, share with us on the other side is, how do clients get to work with you? What does it look like?
Oh, absolutely. So this is the fun part about how I've grown, how the business has grown over the last 3 or so years. And this is what is so fun to me. It's to actually watch the business itself develop. And when I first started out, I only had one-on-one business coaching. Now I have, of course, the one-on-one business coaching still. And we go through the 6 divisions that you have in any business. Those include strategy and execution, your operations, your systems. That's more than just your technology. That includes things like written steps on how you do a thing. It's your systems. Then, of course, your financial side of things. That's probably my absolute strong suit, coming from a CPA background. But everything comes down to the bottom dollars, even your sales and marketing and your interpersonal relationships with your team, not just those people that work with you or your contractors, but beyond that to your vendors and your customers and the rest of your stakeholders. Oh my gosh, including your family. Those 6 divisions we walk through. And yes, you can coach with me one-on-one, but I think the more exciting piece is the group coaching that I have. And really, there are 3 different focuses on the group coaching. One is for that professional service provider that wants to create a thriving business while they have time to focus on their family. That's one group. And then another group is specific to accountants, because our profession needs a little extra flavor to it that these service providers, they've already figured out. They figured out how to have a proactive personal partnership with their clients. But as accountants, as CPAs and tax providers, sometimes we lack in that side of things. I have an accounting mastermind focused specifically on accountants. And then I have more of a mission-driven group that's focused on musicians that really want to create a viable business for themselves so that they go from starving artists to financially sound. Now, within all of that, I've now started providing consulting services specifically in the accounting realm because it's so overwhelming for too many people. They go, okay, I understand that I'm supposed to have a budget and I need a spending plan. But Lisa, that's overwhelming for me. I don't know how to set QuickBooks up. I don't know where to get started. And I've tried and it's just overwhelming. So I now added a layer of getting you set up, getting you trained, either yourself or an outsourced bookkeeper, because guess what? The 2 things that you really need to think about when you are trying to find that time in your business so you can spend it with your family, it's let's automate and outsource. And so in the consulting side of things, I find those pieces of technology that can help you automate things first. And then if you can't get them automated, let's outsource it. But let's get your systems set up so that we can utilize tools that will help us get things going, and I will help you get them implemented. Things have really gotten evolved over the course of the last 3+ years. And it's so much fun to have watched my business grow, and how many of the businesses that I've helped, how they've impacted their communities. So it's really fun for me, but fun is enough. It's fun forwards and backwards. And enough is nurturing unbelievable futures. So it's fun is nurturing unbelievable futures.
Great. So for our listeners who kind of wanting to hop on your bandwagon of being either an untethered entrepreneur and doing the whole traveling and business bit, or if they're an accountant that could, put it bluntly, have a refresh on their personality, or being more proactive, or a starving artist that don't want to be a starving artist, how can they best find you and reach out to you?
So my website is visionating.com, Visionating, visionating.com. And on there, you can request to get a free velocity portal, right? So with this free portal, you're going to have extra tips, tricks, and tools to run your business better. And there's access to every Thursday at noon Central Time, I do free business coaching. So get your free velocity portal so that you can get free business coaching on Thursdays. And if you really just want to reach out to me directly, it's lisa@visionating.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. And for our next guest, we have Mike Kintz with Wingman Payments. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right. So share with our audience as to what brought up Wingman Payments and what got you into your field, your industry.
I fell into the industry by accident. Started working in banking. Was a branch manager for 5 years. And then I was looking around for promotion to be a regional sales manager in the banking industry for Wells Fargo. Mm-hmm. And all the people I was applying with had 15, 20, 25 years of experience. And I'd been with the company 5 years. So I quickly realized that I needed to look at other options. First Data had a program with Wells Fargo Merchant Services, and they were looking for an outside sales executive to work with all my colleagues. So it was a perfect fit for me. I got to work still in the same industry with the people I had been working with, but I was supporting them as a merchant service, account executive, talking to businesses, helping them with merchant services, point of sale systems, and stuff like that. So that's how I got into the industry.
And what brought up the name Wingman Payments? What's the significance behind that?
I wish I had a great story about that. But when you're setting up a company, the first thing that I was looking at is domain names and looking for something that I could get .com. And when I came across Wingman Payments, number one, I liked the connotation of being a supportive of business's wingman when it comes to business. Mm-hmm. And the .com was available. So wingmanpayments.com was available. So I settled right in and registered it with the state, grabbed the domain name with GoDaddy, and it was off.
All right. Yeah. My understanding is this isn't your first venture into your processing business.
No, in 2009, we started a company called Merchant Pro Express. It was an ISO, which is an independent sales organization. So basically, we processed with Fiserv, and through our knowledge, our partners and salespeople that we knew, we basically built that from 2009 to 2000. February 27th of 2020, we sold that company to Fiserv, and then COVID broke the next month, and things changed. So
it's almost like we've got a bit of a COVID theme here going on.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? So you sold the business, and now we're way past COVID, and you're back in the game. Is it what brought you back?
My business partners and I in 2000 came across a company called Transaction Resources. And Transaction Resources has been an ISO as well. They've been in business since 1993. The three primary owners were getting up in years and were looking to exit. Mm-hmm. So we purchased that company from them. It was a profitable company in the winter, but unfortunately in the summer it was losing money, mainly because we're very specialized in the ski resort industry. Mm-hmm. So they did a ton of volume, like Vail is one of our clients, some other large ski resorts people might know. Mm-hmm. And then, so what we did in 2022 is we started taking the principles that we learned with Merchant Pro Express and started building, and now we're profitable year round. Mm-hmm. And 2022 is when I also started Wingman Payments as my brand in selling businesses and working with businesses with merchant services and point of sale systems.
Mm-hmm. So for those that are listening in, as we're throwing the term of processing and being the kind of that mid person, share with the audience that are not in the know or not in the industry, what is that? Like, what is it that you specifically do behind the scenes?
Yeah, so basically businesses, if they are looking to take payments from business owners, or business owners are looking to take payments from either businesses or consumers, you can do it through a point of sale system that you visit every day at a grocery store, a gas station, pay at the pump, stuff like that. So we are the service that provides that. We also can help people with websites and connecting websites to e-commerce through gateways. We can also do mobile payments if somebody is like a home service industry that's looking to use a cell phone, invoice payment links to be able to text somebody a link and take a payment. These are all things that a merchant service company would help you do. And it's not just credit cards. Mm-hmm. We also can do ACH payments. We can also help with gift and loyalty and reward programs. Mm-hmm. And we even can do cryptocurrencies as well. Oh. However, there's not really a big need. Most business owners aren't asking for those, but we do have technology that could take cryptocurrencies if it was something that somebody wanted to try to do.
Mm-hmm. So for those of the uninitiated, as they're hearing about this, also you're telling me that I just go to any store as I'm running a business, some swipe the card, you are that person that makes it happen behind the scenes. For those that are, again, not too much in the know, weeds deep into the industry, what is it that makes Wingman Payments different from, let's say, any other banker they're working with already?
So with Wingman Payments, we simplify payments. Mm-hmm. So from a business owner, we're going to give them simple pricing, because most business owners that have been in this game for a long time will know that merchant services is very difficult to understand what you're getting billed because there's so many different interchange levels and stuff. I don't want to get too off into the weeds, but we simplify the pricing where we give flat rate or cash discount programs or things of that nature. So when they take a card, they know what their costs are. Mm-hmm. The second thing that we do is we provide a concierge service, which most providers don't. We're very focused on PCI compliance and keeping our merchants fully compliant with all the payment card industry data security standards, which is what PCI stands for. There's rules and regulations around how you handle card data to keep cardholders safe and also protect your business from breaches and stuff like that. So we do the questionnaires, and then we also will help them with their API, quarterly scans and things of that nature. If they don't pass them, then we have help that can provide them to make whatever vulnerabilities we found in their security scan, that they can make those changes to make sure they pass those security scans and create a little bit more security around their infrastructure. Mm-hmm.
So is this an additional value add, or is it something that's just not brought up by their existing providers?
To be honest with you, most providers look at it as a revenue source because they'll charge them a non-PCI compliance fee for not being compliant. So when that happens, they're paying $25, $30 a month. I've seen non-PCI fees as high as $99 a month, which can really cost a lot of money. Yeah. And to be honest with you, PCI compliance is something very easy to handle. Mm-hmm. And we've actually earned a lot of business from that because we'll look at do a business review, we'll see they're non-compliant, and we'll let them know that you're spending $300, $400, $500 a year for being not compliant. And it's something relatively easy, and we take care of it for them because we do it every day. A business owner that's running a convenience store, a hair salon, they're not going to, trying to fill out that questionnaire might take them an hour and a half to fill it out, where it takes me 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
And that saves them an hour that they would rather doing anything else.
Yeah.
So what other perspective when it comes to behind the scenes that you do that a traditional business owner just simply are not aware about?
A lot of the payment cards and stuff like that, as far as different technologies. So like we work a lot with chiropractors. We're actually a sponsor of the Georgia Chiropractic Association. So we'll help them create new technologies as far as taking payments. So what they can do is at checkout, they can actually capture information securely, tokenizing transactions. So then when that customer comes back in, they don't necessarily, if they're busy, they can say, we'll take care of the billing, and they can just leave because they have their card on file. Mm-hmm. We can also send payment links. So if you have An application for that would be a 16-year-old kid comes in for some treatment. Mom's at work. Kid doesn't have any payment mechanism. They can actually send a text link to mom at work. Mom can make the payment right from her phone and makes it very easy for mom. It makes it very easy for the business to collect the payment, and everything's secure and trackable. You know?
Oh. Okay.
So there's some things that we can do. Every business that we work with, we customize the plan for them. We get to know our owner, what they're trying to solve for, what they don't like about their current system. And if we can fix that, we take care of it.
What is, in your experience, like the major pain points for business owners then in that area?
Really comes down to three things. It's either price, meaning that they feel like they're paying too much. They've went through pricing increases. 2, support. There's a lot of very good companies out there that when everything works well, it's great. But when there's a problem especially with some of the larger companies that are more technology based, trying to get somebody on the phone to help you can be very difficult. Where all of my clients, we have relationship managers dedicated to each business owner. They just call me, or they call their relationship manager, and their relationship manager answers the phone and will allow them to get back at taking care of business, and I'll go take care of that issue, whatever it is. An example of that be, we had a billing issue with one of our clients. They called me, let me know about it. They went back to take care of their day. I went and did all the research to find out what happened, got back to them a couple hours later with the information, and it wasn't a problem. They knew about it, but it was something that took the peace of mind off, and it let them just work with and run their business for that day. That's not normal for most merchant service companies. A lot of times you're going to call into an 800 number. They're going to transfer you around from department to department. Hopefully you get somebody on the phone that you understand, because a lot of times they'll use remote call centers and stuff like that. So it can be difficult. So that we try to put the service back into merchant service.
So you brought up one of the features of being able to have, you mentioned tokens and even texting to, less than in this case, a parent to make that payment, because a 16-year-old isn't exactly running around with a credit card. Exactly. What other things in terms of technology that you see coming down the pipeline that can also be something similar or function in a similar manner to make collecting payments or transactions even easier for the business owner? Yeah.
So today you have iPhones and you have Google phones and all these different types of phones. We can basically take the newer phones today, have all the technology to take payments built into them. So I can actually turn cell phones into credit card payment devices, where you basically just load an app on your cell phone. So if you're a home service company, I can turn your cell phone. You don't need any peripheral card readers or anything like that. You literally can use the technology in the phone to do the tap to pay with your card to that cell phone. And it's fully encrypted. It meets all the PCI standards. So it's safe, it's secure. So those are some of the newer technologies that you're seeing come out. They're more and more prevalent all the time. So
do you see that as a potential for replacement of these like larger machines at like cafes and all, or are they already happening? Yeah,
it's already happening. So in the old days, you would see a lot of the standalone credit card terminals. Those are pretty much going away. It's so inexpensive, and there's more and more developers out there developing new software all the time. So we have some technology companies we work with that have point of sale technology. So if you're looking for something more than just taking credit card payments, we have different solutions. If you're looking for a retail point of sale system that can do inventory, can tell you when you're getting low on certain items to help you order products, time and attendance with their employees. We have systems like that for retail and restaurant applications. We also have technology companies we work with for scheduling software for gyms, fitness studios, and stuff like that. So people can basically pull up their phone, schedule a training session with their trainer, pay for it right there. And it makes it easy for the business owner. Because if you've ever been to a gym, the trainers and stuff are working with people all day long. They don't have time to go answer the phone every time it rings and stuff. So it makes it easier for them to run their business. And we even have work with some companies that do small venue ticketing. So if you're running like a little concert or a little fair and you want to sell tickets to it, you can put up an online website, take payments, and then we even have a scanner that can scan the QR code at check-ins. They've already bought a ticket, and that it's not fraud, where they're not duplicating the ticket where you've purchased one and let 4 people in. So we We have technologies like that work. In fact, we're just setting up a theater in South Carolina with that technology to where they can buy and sell tickets for their concerts and stuff they run at a historical theater.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you alluded a little bit about other additional services like loyalty points and stuff like that. How would that work for a small business if it's just like a small mom and pop shop and they're not like a large franchise per se? Is that very costly for something for them to implement?
Our point of sale systems a lot of times have it included. So where you could just capture their cell phone number or their credit card information to where it's tied to them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be like, if you're a sub shop, you could do buy 10 subs, get the 11th free, and it will automatically track all that. Mm-hmm. Then you can also go to your customer data to see who your best customers are. You can see what people like. You can see if somebody hasn't shown up in a while, you can do some little targeted marketing where you can send texts out and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So those are different programs that are out there. They're pretty common with the point of sale systems that we work with.
So then for those that are not, I know it sounds like you're more than just the in-between person where you just give cash from one pocket to the other, at least digitally.
We're basically, the way I like to, we're a business consultant in the payments industry. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to provide you a little bit more information, give you competitive pricing, provide you excellent support, and actually want to have a relationship for years to come, that's what Wingman Payments is about.
And do you have like perhaps a client story that kind of stands out in your mind where there was a problem that has been racking their brains on, or didn't even know it was a problem? And you just came around, hey, here's a solution. It's pretty no cost or minimal cost in terms of just fixing that major headache for them.
Yeah, so we had a private equity firm that purchases privatized DMV offices. And one of the challenges that they were having is when people come to register their vehicles and stuff, for them to take credit cards for higher registration costs, it was actually counterproductive because the state would just pay them a flat fee for the registration. That's how they made their money. But if you took a credit card for certain transactions, the cost of the transaction to process the credit card was more than what they would make from the state for doing that registration. So it was counterproductive for them. So what we did was we put together a program that's fully certified by Visa, MasterCard. Basically, it's a cash discount type program to where we let the customer know that if you'd like the convenience of paying with a card at this location, you can use your card, but there'll be a service fee added to the cost. And that service fee we hold back to cover the processing cost. And then we put 100%. So if you purchase something for $100, that $100 would go straight to the merchant's bank account. So basically it removed that obstacle for them. And that company literally processes millions of dollars a month with us because we had technology that made it very simple for them to execute on that program.
Oh, okay. So for our listeners who want actual concierge service or someone who actually does a little bit more than just be the middle person in getting them paid, how can they best find you?
You can go to wingmanpayments.com. You can also go to, if you wanted to email me, you can email me at info@wingmanpayments.com. And if you wanted to reach out to me, our phone number is right on our website, so you can use that number, or you can call me at 678-896-1849.
Now to close out the program, we have our next guest. We have Shawn Choi at Chastain Injury Law. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Hi, Anthony. Happy to be here.
So share with us your story of what made you go into law and specifically injury law.
Yeah, so I started Chastain Injury Law, which is a personal injury only firm handling car accidents, medical malpractice, apartment shootings or restaurant shootings. Unfortunately, these things happen. So anytime someone is injured through the carelessness of another person, I'm there to help. But my background was originally as a defense attorney for the insurance companies. So my background is in representing the people who were accused of causing injury to others. So I did that for a few years, and I decided that I wanted to be able to pick my own clients and to set my own case strategy. And I knew that with a background working for the insurance companies, I could reverse engineer the process and maximize the financial recovery that my clients are entitled to. So that is how I ended up starting Chastain Injury Law.
So was that by design, or was it an accident that you know the playbook of the insurance, like you have a sneak peek of how they think and how they function?
I don't believe in accidents or coincidences. So,
all right, well, we're running with that. We're running with that. Now, for I guess kind of an elephant in the room is when we either drive down to any street or open up the TV, there's all these, we're getting blasted by ads of injury attorneys. What is it that makes Shawn different than all these other ads are being blasted at us?
So I think what sets us apart from a lot of the other personal injury firms in Atlanta is I am a solo attorney, so I keep my caseloads low. Unlike some of the big billboard firms, the downside of going to a large law firm is that there is a chance you're going to be passed around from attorney to attorney. There are business realities and politics at these larger companies. And the person who you get on the phone with and call might not be the person who's handling your case, might not be the person who's settling your case. Our business, our law firm does not ever pass around people, either through internally or by sourcing you out to another law firm. We handle the case from day one until we reach a successful settlement for you.
Now, when people think about injury, think of the traditional either a car accident or a slip and fall. But then you also brought up other things like medical malpractice or shootings. What got you into dabbling into those other two specific fields?
I was exposed to a lot of different sorts of legal issues as a defense lawyer. So I have defended at trial, which means presenting a case in a courtroom in front of a jury. I've done 3 medical malpractice trials, which were multi-million-dollar cases in Georgia. One of them was a wrongful death case involving a young lady who had sickle cell disease. She unfortunately passed from that illness, and the circumstances surrounding her passing resulted in a lawsuit, and I defended one of the doctors who were accused of malpractice, and he was found not at fault. Thankfully, but the 2 hospital systems that the decedent had to go through were found liable for $40 million in damages to the family. So that was a really big case that had an impact on how I saw my role as a lawyer, how I saw my ability to litigate these cases at the highest levels with other top Georgia trial attorneys, and it got me into the courtroom. Most cases will settle. I would say around 98% of cases, some statistics say, settle before ever seeing the inside of a courtroom. And that's a good thing. It saves my clients the trouble and expense of having to fight for at least 2 years and present a case to a jury. And that's always a black box. No one really knows what a jury is going to do. So settlement is good. However, you have to know how to play the system, play the game in court in order to know how much your case should settle for. So if your attorney has never been in trial, in court, in front of a jury, it's going to be tough for them to have a sense of how much your case is actually worth, because the worth of your case is how much would this case get if a jury were to decide it. That's one job of an attorney, is to predict the trial value of a case. But if you've never been to trial, I don't know how you're going to do that. Thankfully, we've experienced many trials and lawsuits at our firm. So we're able to put a very high confidence range of case value for each of our clients and make sure that they're getting a fair deal for their injuries.
So you're coming at this with an actual experience of, okay, we've XYZ scenario, if all else equals, this is a range of what we can expect. So you're telling me my hangnail, I can't get $1 million?
Probably not, no.
Probably not, no. Okay.
Probably have to lose the whole hand.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure about giving up my whole hand for $1 million.
Exactly.
But what then, working off of that is like the stereotype or the myths of people surrounding personal injury law, where they slip and fall. Oh yeah, I'm going to get $1 million. I'm assuming that is not the case. There's a lot more nuance involved.
That's right. There is always more nuance that's involved, especially with these big blockbuster cases that make the news. And like the famous example is the hot coffee McDonald's case, the old lady who, spilled hot coffee on her lap, and people were saying, did she really deserve millions of dollars for spilling coffee on herself? What is never really publicized is the photos of her injuries. She had severe burning in the inside of her thigh, and it caused her tremendous pain, and she was already very advanced in years. So she was in pain for the rest of her life and with permanent disfigurement. So when you get under the hood of any injury case, you realize that you're not going to get $1 million for a simple rear ender, but at the same time, you should probably get more than the $1,500 the insurance company is trying to get you to settle for. It's definitely the amount of your case is probably somewhere between $1,500 and $1 million, and I'll help you figure out exactly what it is.
Okay. And you mentioned the majority, or some of the figures like 98 or 99% of cases being settled. Like, how long does it go from a client coming to you with an injury, and from that day forward, how long does it take to actually settle a case?
So clients usually call me maybe a month or two after an accident happens. That seems to be a pretty common timeline. And usually they call me because the insurance company has been pressuring them to settle the case. For the number that I see most frequently is $1,500. And no matter what the injury is or what sort of damage was caused, they'll try to get unrepresented people to settle the case as quickly and as cheaply as possible.
Just
and
$1,500 doesn't matter the kind of injury.
They'll usually say, we'll give you $1,500 up front, and then up to $15,000 or $20,000, whatever the specific policy is, of medical bills that you pay out of pocket. And people don't really understand what they're doing, and they can release liability and basically give up their right to sue if they accept this money. And a lot of times people don't even know exactly what they're doing, but they do it anyway.
A Band-Aid at a hospital is $1,500. That was a joke, but I'm not so sure about nowadays with billing with hospital.
Exactly.
But okay, let's say for example they're getting this letter and as you mentioned they're feeling this pressure, like how, and you mentioned that timeline, that month. Would it be better that they just reach out to someone like yourself right off from the get-go, or actually wait for a response from the insurance company?
I think whenever you're dealing with the insurance company, you have to realize that you're not. The person on the phone might be a very sweet, generous person, but they are represented by an army of lawyers, and I used to be amongst.
You're on the other side.
That's right. And the insurance company hires professional negotiators to try to persuade you to settle your case for as cheaply and quickly as possible. You have to level the playing field by hiring someone who knows how to talk to these folks and humanize you, because to the insurance company, you as an injured person are a claim number. You are a dollar figure. You're not a person. You're not a human being. And it's not the insurance company's fault. They just haven't had a chance to get to know you. So another big part of my job, and something that sets me apart from some of these other larger law firms, is I take my time to get to personally know each of my clients. I like to figure out, well, what were some of your hobbies and maybe work obligations before the accident? What happened during the accident? Tell me in detail every single thing that happened in real time. And then after the accident, what sorts of hobbies or work activities or trips or conferences, whatever. How was your life, your family, your business affected by this injury? I take the time to go through that in detail, because the more specific I can get about my client, the more humanizing it is to the insurance agent assigned to this injury claim, and the fairer the offers tend to be.
You did share that one particular story of the lady with the sickle cell. What was one of the cases that has left a huge mark on you and made you go, yeah, I am definitely in the right field?
Yeah, I get that feeling whenever I successfully handle any case, whether it's a more severe car accident or some sort of surgical error. Those cases, obviously, I feel good that I'm helping someone get better after a doctor made a mistake during their operation. But even simple rear-ender sorts of cases, I find a lot of joy in helping people with those, because a lot of the times nobody believes the client, or at least it feels like that to them. They'll talk to the insurance company and say, hey, I was injured in this way, I'm having these sorts of symptoms, and they will be treated like they're liars. And it's very unfortunate for someone who is hurt and dealing with the stress of medical bills and having their life overturned for a few months while they try to figure out what doctors to go to and get treatment. On top of that, to be called a liar and a malingerer. This is the attitude that the insurance company and defense attorneys tend to have toward injured victims.
Yeah. So turning back the hands of time a little bit, before you made that decision to go out on your own, was that one particular case or a whole series of events that made you go, you know what, I want to make a change and go out and have my own firm?
I've always wanted to have my own firm. And I considered all the experience that I got as a defense attorney, training, knowledge, and experience that would one day help me once I started my own firm. So ever since day one, I wanted to do this, and it's a dream come true.
Right. Wow. Thank you. So for those that are listening in and got a taste of what it's like to have an attorney that would actually believe in them, and as you say, humanize their case and not just be a case number, for lack of a better word, how can they best find you?
I think the best way to get in touch with me is through my website. You can submit a free case evaluation form just with some details of whatever happened to cause your injuries. And the website is thechastainlaw.com. That's the Chastain is spelled CHASTAIN law.com. You can also find us on Instagram at ATL Injury Lawyer is the handle for the firm. And my direct line, if you want to call me, is 770-286-8614. And I'm happy to talk to anyone if they have a potential case, free of charge. We never charge hourly or anything like that. So feel free to call with any questions.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Great. So a theme from our guests here is not just making change or waves in the industry, but also coming out on the other side. I can't believe it's 4 years now. As you're listening to this, we are in October of 2024, particularly with our return guest, Lisa. So the universal question I would like to bring all of our guests to close out the show is, looking back 4 years ago, what advice would you have liked to have given to yourself as you're going through this path of creating a new business? Question again is, looking back 4 years ago, as you're starting your venture, what kind of advice would you have liked to give to yourself as you're going through this journey of starting this business? That being said, as we're giving our guests some time to think over their answer, this is the obligatory compliance part of my section here. This show is sponsored and brought to you, yours truly, myself, Anthony Chen, with Lighthouse Financial Network, securities and advisory services offered through Osaic, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic is separately owned in other entities and or marketing names. Products or services referenced here are independent of Osaic. Our main office address is at 575 Broad Hollow Road out in Melville, New York, 11747. You can reach me at my office number at 631-465-9090. Extension is 5075, or at best, my email, just my full name, Anthony Chen, CHEN @lfnlc.com. Now, bringing back our guests, again, the question is, if we were to turn back the hands of time 4 years ago, what advice would you be giving yourself, knowing everything that you know now? Lisa?
The biggest thing that I would want to tell myself is that it really is about the relationships, not just with your clients, with your referral partners, with your family, but it's that collaboration among all of them. So really lean in to that one value that you have, that collaborative value, and don't keep that one the last. So I knew from the start that my values were time over money, family, and collaboration. Lean into that collaboration piece a lot more.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, my cynical part would say don't take the vaccine. But from a business standpoint, a lot of it for me would to do it sooner.
Oh.
To don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that have skills that they can offer to other people from a business standpoint. And for whatever reason, they don't want to turn it into a business.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. I was an employee. I was in a situation that kind of pushed me into being self-employed. And in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I highly recommend taking control of your own life, being a business owner.
So it sounds like you're never going to be working for anyone else.
Only my wife.
Well, by default, all of the guys here, we would have to agree to that. We have to agree to that. Yeah. So, Shawn, close us out.
So I would say follow your blisters. Whatever you're willing to get your hands dirty and torn and bloody for, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Wow. I think that's a mic drop right there. Thank you, Shawn. All right. So it closes out for a little section called Anthony's Financial Take, as you're all listening in from our three amazing guests of leaning into relationships, family, starting out early, and leaning into what gives your hands blisters, whether that's a hobby or whatever it is that you're willing to pour your life and soul into. I don't think, at least on the financial side of things, I can really top any of that other than as you are going through your own financial plan and journey. Keep those three things in mind, because at the end of the day, something I might sound like a preacher for some of my clients that know me already is that you can't take it with you. You just can't. You got to make sure that there is meaning behind those dollars. And at the end of the day, if you can spend every penny, but you have an amazing memory and experience that you can get to share with your friends and family, it's hard to top that. That should be the number one goal. And that being said, thank you for listening in to Family Business Radio.